a conceited and self-centered prince who resided in a palace and hosted lavish parties for all of his royal subjects in a former French country. An elderly beggar came to the prince's palace one night and offered him a flower in return for protection from the cold. The old woman advised the prince not to be fooled by appearances, but the prince sneered and laughed at her along with his subjects. The prince turned her aside again, and a moment later, the ragged old appearance of the woman vanished, revealing a stunning goddess. She punished the subjects by transforming them into everyday things and turning the prince into a terrible demi. The outer world lost all memory of the castle and its occupants due to the goddess's magic. The demi was left with a flower and a magic mirror that served as his window to the outside world. A few years later, a young lady resides in the village close by. The lady is primarily interested in stories. The other residents of the town think she's strange, and she doesn't quite fit in. The attractive hunter, an ex-military captain, is after her. After the lady leaves a bookstore, he rides into town with his lackey, Fool, and they meet up. She declines the hunter's invitation to supper, despite his best efforts to court her. The lady goes back to her music box maker, father, making a music box that looks like him and his late wife. When Lady informs her father that she believes the locals find her strange, Lady's father dismisses her. Lady begs her father to bring back a flower, as he always does, before he leaves to sell his music boxes in another town. Lady's father and his horse ride through the woodland. He turns to face a snow-covered path. Lady's father and the horse are forced to escape after coming across a pack of wolves. They enter the gate that leads to the prince's castle's abandoned grounds. The servant, the candelabra, and the clock notice Lady's father as he enters the castle. Lady's father enters the dining area and takes a seat. When Cup, a small child who has been transformed into a teacup, approaches and speaks to him, he is startled. After leaving the castle, Lady's father rides off till he enters the garden and notices a flower. When Lady's father goes to pick one for Lady, the demi finds him and labels him a thief and takes him prisoner. When the horse reappears a short while later, Lady realizes that her father must have suffered a terrible fate. The horse is escorted back to the castle by Belle. In the dungeon, she discovers her father, who tells her to go back. When Lady finally sees the demi, she is taken aback by his looks. As a thief, Lady's father is sentenced to life in the dungeon, according to the demi. Despite her father's protests, Lady offers to step in. After approving the trade, the demi releases her father. Lady assures him that she will manage to get out of there. Despite her initial fear of the servant and the clock, Lady ends up getting along with them. Prior to the curse turning them into a candelabra and a clock, the servant was the castle footman and clock, the castle majordomo. In addition, Lady meets Cup, Madame de Cupboard, an Italian opera singer who is now a wardrobe. The maid and the servant's girlfriend, who has been transformed into a duster that resembles a peacock. And Maestro Piano, Cupboard's husband and head musician, who is now a harpsichord. Lady is led by the servant into an east wing room and out of the dungeon. Lady receives an idea to use the ribbons to descend the tower after Cupboard outfits her in an obscene gown. In a tavern, the hunter hears Fool complaining about Lady rejecting him. Fool, along with the other villagers, tries to lift his spirits by gushing about the hunter in considerable detail. Shortly later, Lady's father walks in and begins to rant about how the demi has captured Lady. The other villagers scoff at his assertions, but the hunter agrees to go with Lady's father in search of the demi, primarily in an effort to win Lady around to his way. The Demi taps on Lady's bedroom door in an attempt to encourage her to join him for dinner, but he is too forceful. Her rope, the servant, clock, housekeeper, and the maid stand behind him and attempt to assist. Lady, however, declines to accompany the Demi. After insulting his attendants, the Demi storms off. The castle begins to tremble and disintegrate a little, as we witness the flower lose another petal. Additionally, it makes the castle's artifacts less and less human. After leaving her room, Lady follows the items from the palace as they lead her to the dining hall. Following that, Lady enters the West Wing, which the servant and clock had made a valiant effort to hide from her. Lady discovers the flower in a jar there. The Demi then growls at her to go, frightening her. Lady escapes the castle grounds by riding the horse. Then, she is attacked by the wolves in the wilderness. Lady tries to repel them, but eventually the Demi appears and engages in combat with them. The dominant wolf bites into his back, but the Demi breaks it off and roars, frightening the other wolves away even though he is severely hurt and falls. The Demi is then helped onto the horse by Lady. As Lady tends to the Demi's wound, a bond of kinship begins to form between them, despite his complaints about the agony. She allows him to relax. Lady is informed by housekeeper that the Demi wasn't always so cruel. Prince doesn't find someone to love and be loved in return. He will remain a Demi forever, and they will become inanimate. We then see the young prince watching his mother die before his father pulls him away. In an attempt to locate the route to the castle, Lady's father takes the hunter and Fool into the forest. Fool and the hunter believe the father is simply insane. In addition to growling at the father and threatening to abandon him to the wolves, despite the hunter's best efforts to hide it by playing the charming guy, Lady's father is aware of the true hunter and makes it plain that he will never permit the hunter to wed Lady. The father is completely unconscious when the hunter binds him to a tree, allowing the wolves to pursue him. Fool thinks this is excessive, yet he can't help but follow the hunter. Lady receives an invitation from the Demi to dance at the ballroom. The servant, cupboard, and the others outfit Lady in a stunning gown while they attempt to properly groom the Demi. Then, as the piano plays a song to accompany them, the two meet on the stairwell and enter the ballroom. A passionate dance is shared by Lady and the Demi. The Demi then asks Lady whether she might be happy there, to which she responds by asking if anyone can be happy if they are not free. He gives her the magic mirror so she may see her father because he knows she misses him. When Lady witnesses the locals intimidating her father, she realizes something is wrong. Lady is freed by the Demi to go assist her father. As Lady rides off, the Demi climbs his tower in despair, but he now realizes that he really does love her. The items in the castle start to feel depressed since they realize Lady doesn't love him in exchange for the spell being lifted. The hunter places Lady's father in a mental health facility, but he offers him another opportunity at redemption. The hunter sends the father away because he continues to refuse. Just in time to prevent the carriage from riding off, Lady appears. Everyone is horrified as she demonstrates the existence of the Demi to the villagers. Before the Demi tries to hurt anyone else, the hunter decides to change his attitude and begins organizing the villagers to pursue him. After that, Lady and her father are imprisoned in the carriage as the hunter organizes the villagers to storm the castle. The villagers are seen approaching the castle by the castle's objects. The people begin to smash through the door despite their best efforts to keep it shut. The Demi is too melancholy to be concerned about what happens, so Clock goes to warn him. Then, the servant organizes every piece of the castle into a plan. Fool sees Housekeeper and Cup as the villagers arrive, thinking Housekeeper is his grandma. She starts the quarrel because she is not happy. Housekeeper throws hot tea on the assailants, piano shoots his keys, clock launches flying books at the peasants, the servant lights up the floor, and cupboard dresses. Three stooges decked out in costumes, makeup, and powdered wigs. The third stooge is rather satisfied with his appearance, while the other two flee in terror. Fool asks the hunter for assistance while the piano sits on him.
In order to pursue the Demi, he declines. Housekeeper falls from the chandelier a few moments later, but Fool catches her and chooses to trade places. Housekeeper informs him that he is in any case too good for the hunter. The elderly beggar is seen ascending the stairs in the meantime. Then, in terror, the locals flee. Lady tells her father in the carriage that she knows the truth about what really happened to her mother and shows him the glass flower. Lady may accept father's insistence that his only intention was to keep her safe. In order to enable her father to pick the lock, she removes a pin. Belle rides the horse the castle after they escape the carriage. After climbing the tower, the hunter finds the Demi sitting melancholy outside the window. After claiming that Lady sent him, he shoots Demi in the back, sending him tumbling onto a smaller roof. The hunter pursues him, hoping the Demi will retaliate. The beast is re-energized as Lady arrives back at the castle. He asserts that he is not a beast and defends himself against the hunter. As the coward cries out for help, he holds the hunter over a precipice and gives the order to depart, sparing his life. Moments after the Demi leaps to the next tower to be with Lady, the hunter shoots him twice in the back. Then, when the bridge he was standing on collapses and he falls to his death. Despite his fatal wounds, the Demi has time to visit Lady before he passes away. And then, the final petal drops. The items of the castle rejoice over their triumph over the villagers, but the maid becomes just another feather duster when she is in the servant's arms. Housekeeper turns like a normal teapot. As a result, he and the cupboard, as well as her spouse and dog, became inanimate. Before they too turn into inanimate objects, the servant and clock declare their friendship to one another. Telling the Demi-Beast that she loves him, Lady sobs over him. As Lady says this, elderly beggar walks into the room. As it happens, elderly beggar was actually the goddess hiding in plain sight. She breaks the spell by giving the flower its original appearance. After then, the Demi changes back into a person. Then comes their first kiss between him and Lady. The realm is no longer covered in darkness, and things begin to return to normal. After turning back into humans, the servant, clock, the housekeeper, cup, the maid, piano, and cupboard all regain consciousness and meet up with their loved ones. While Clock reunites with his wife, though he's not too thrilled about that, the housekeeper reunites with her spouse from the hamlet. The prince dashes to give his pals hugs. All of the castle subjects and the villagers engage in a party in the ballroom. Amidst their dancing, she asks the prince if he is able to grow facial hair. Piano plays music over the dance, while cupboard and the housekeeper sing.